Hello, my name is Jamie Curiton, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the steps that I followed to get my boiler installation business to rank in the top 3 map pack on Google My Business. So if you're struggling to achieve that, then you need to watch this video. Now trust me, getting yourself into this map pack pays dividends over the years, because once you're there and once you get it to the level that I'm going to explain to you, you're going to be very hard to compete with. So where other people are buying leads and paying for ads and things like that, this is just going to be a lead generation source which is going to cost you nothing. So it don't take long to pay back the time that you're going to put into it. So it is an absolute no-brainer. Now, just so you know, I'm not an SEO specialist. I don't offer this as a service, so please don't come to me for that. But you should have enough information to go and implement this stuff yourself by watching the rest of this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing that you need to understand and think about is what Google's main intentions are when it comes to deciding who gets put into this map pack. So from their perspective, their goal is to present the user who's doing the search with the most trusted, relevant, and reputable company that is most closely matched to the search term that they're looking for. So that means that everything we do needs to be optimized to sing the song of Google, okay? Now, of course, Google haven't got people manually checking every single listing. They rely on robots, or spiders as they're referred to in the industry, to crawl the internet to get loads of data, and then that paints a picture for Google to ultimately decide who goes into that map pack. So that means that everything we do going forward has to be optimized for the spiders to paint that clear picture. So I just wanted to share that with you. You just need to really understand how that works. And at the same time, to confuse things a little bit, we've also got to make this presentable to the user as well. So it's got to be engaging and compelling enough to get that customer over the line. But at the same time, we need to include the data and the information that the spiders are looking for to paint that clear picture. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to sort out your Google My Business profile. Before we start optimizing profiles and websites and all the other stuff that goes with it, the first thing that you really need to do is decide on which search terms you want to show up for when people are searching for you in Google. Now, this is a mistake that people make in business in general, but particularly when it comes to this Google stuff, is that they try to optimize everything so that you're going to show up in all of the different potential services that you could offer as a business. But that just blurs the line for Google. There's so much information there that it's difficult for the spiders to distinguish which service you specialize in. So for me, in the end, instead of trying to market for everything, we focused on 3 search terms, and that was boiler installations to begin with, because to us, that was relatively easy work and paid the most. So that was our biggest return on investment and our highest profit. So we focused on boiler installations. Off the back of that, we focused on boiler servicing and boiler repairs, because those 2 services can turn into boiler installations. So we're just trying to increase the probability that we're going to get more boiler installs. So by doing that, that made it a lot easier to optimize and to prove to Google that we were the most relevant business for that search term. So whatever industry you're in, have a think about which job it is that you want to do the most of. If you could do it every day and that make you the most money, which job would that be? And have a think about a couple of services which would complement that particular service and turn into those jobs potentially further down the line. That's really going to help us with the next step. So once you've got that sorted, now you can start optimizing the profile. So let's go and have a look at that. So for those of you who don't have a profile, all you need to do is do a Google search for Google My Business, and then follow the link, sign in, add a new business, and you'll end up on a page that looks like this. For those of you who do have a profile already, just bear with me a sec. We'll get there in no time at all. But I just want to explain a couple of things. So first things first, we've got our business name. Now, Google say that this isn't a direct ranking factor. It used to be, but your business name, from my perspective, is the first step to building the relevancy picture that we're trying to build for Google. So for me, our focus was boiler installations. So we rebranded effectively so that we could have boiler installations in our name. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's something to consider, because if you do decide to do that in the future, coming back to change all of this work that you're about to do can be a pain in the backside. So have a good think about, what it is you want to show yourself as when it comes to these search terms. So once you're happy with that, you'd put your company name in here. And then the next thing we've got is our business category. So this is where we're going to tell Google what it is we're most relevant to. Now, for plumbing, heating, gas engineers, it's quite easy just to put in here plumber. But what does that actually mean to Google? That could mean a hell of a lot more than just a boiler installation. So have a look through the categories and see. So for me, I'm saying that heating contractor is what I would say is the most relevant to the boiler installation side of things. Unfortunately, Google doesn't actually say what they all relate to, but that's the one that I would be going with myself. So then you click next. Then it says, do you want to add a location that customers can visit, like a store or office? Now, of course, if you've got a showroom, then great. If you don't, then say no to this question, because then it won't show your home address on this Google search. Then we're going to select our areas. So for me, it was Coventry. So one thing to consider here is how many areas do you put in? Because again, we're trying to show Google who we're most relevant to. And you could quite easily add quite a few areas into this, but it takes some extra work down the line to prove that you're relevant to that area. So just be mindful of how many you're putting in here. And if you can, just select one for now while we're trying to establish the first step of establishing ourselves in the Google Map Pack for your specific area, your main focus area. So we'll keep that to 1 for now. Now we're going to add our contact number. So this is a mistake that a lot of people make, is that they will only have a mobile number for their business. But from Google's perspective, a mobile number isn't that trusted. It's not really specifically saying that you are, established in that area with an office. Now, I know that we can have virtual landline numbers, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a fixed landline, but Google like it. So for the sake of £5 or £6 a month, you can get a virtual landline number, which diverts to your mobile number, but it just means that you can put a landline number which includes the local area code that's relevant to the area that you're saying that you're in. So for us, it was 02476, blah, 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 blah. And then we have our website URL. So put your website address in there. And what that will do is connect obviously the Google profile to your website, and then that basically you're telling the spiders to go and now crawl your website to just confirm everything that you're putting in. So once you've done that, hit next. It then asks you to add your services, and you can see that it's highlighted a few already for you, but boiler installation specifically isn't there. So you can add custom services to match the search terms that you're looking for. Remember, keep these minimal to, be that relevant company. So once you've done that, hit next. Then you get to add your business hours. Now, make sure that you're honest with this. Don't say that you're a 24-hour company when you're not. If you're gonna, if customers are gonna ring you and then you're not gonna answer the phone because you're living your life, then people get upset by that, and that can then have a negative impact on, the profile further down the line. So just be honest with your working hours, and then once you've done that, hit next. You can add message into this. So all of this stuff is stuff that Google likes. So just turn it on, and you'll satisfy Google. You then ask to add a business description. So you've got 750 characters to play with. Now, this is one of those situations where we've got two goals here. One, we need to be descriptive enough to the customer. It's got to be compelling. It's got to tell them what it is you do and get them over the line, so to speak. But this is also your opportunity to put some keywords in here to satisfy the spiders. But some things to be wary of here is there is something called keyword stuffing, which basically means you throw in all of the keywords in here to repeat numerous amount of times, and that ends up just being spammy and will have a negative impact on the way that Google look at you. So I would say if you can get your keywords in maybe 3 times max for each service that you're trying to rank for, then that is going to be, ticking the box. I wouldn't go any more than that, but it will definitely help the spiders get that picture that you're trying to paint. Adding photos of your work. So, we have AI that exists in this day and age now, where they can scan the image and they have a relatively good idea about what it is that image is saying to the user. So, you know, get pictures of you servicing a boiler, for example, or whatever it is you're trying to rank for, and get a fair few photos. I'd say if you can at least get 10 photos on here of the work of the different services you're doing, and that's going to go a long way. Google like pictures, they like to show pictures to people, so make sure that you get that filled in. So now we've got through that process, we can come into the back end of the profile and further build out the profile. So, you know, we're on the home page here. If we just scroll down a little bit, the first thing to look at is, it says here, complete your business profile. You've got to get this to be 100%. So you've got to do all of the things that Google want you to do to get it to 100% to satisfy what they're looking for. Now, we would have done a few of these in the previous step. Obviously, I skipped some of them, but just make sure that you come in here and do that. The other thing that I wanted to point out is if we just come to info, we've now got other things that we needed to bulk out here as well. So you can see here in the services area, we've added the search terms, the boiler installations, the boiler servicing, the boiler repairs. So just be thinking to yourself, right, if I was a user, what would I type in to search for this service, and just, you know, put them in there so that it's relevant. The other thing from the business, add attributes. So this is what you can say, you know, you're a part of, for example. Google like this stuff too, so, you know, just tick the boxes basically. Cool, then we're gonna add some photos. So what they're looking for is the logo. So this logo needs to be the logo that's on your website, obviously, and a cover photo. So the cover photo you need to make sure is the correct size, and it includes stuff that's relevant to the search terms that you're trying to rank for. And get a video on there. Google love videos. So if it's an intro video for like 30 seconds max of you just saying, hi, my name's so-and-so, this is what we do, Google are going to like that as well. Now remember, they can scan the videos and get captions. So get your keywords in there a couple of times for the search terms that we're trying to rank for. At work photo, so again, we went through that step earlier, and team photos. Even if it's just you in front of a van, or, you know, you've got a fleet, get the team in the photos. Box ticking exercise. Last thing to mention for now then is the posts. So really this comes in further down the line because there's more important things for us to be focused on right now. But you need to be putting posts out every now and again to keep the content relevant, to show that you're active. Google like that, but like I say, there is more important stuff. So now that we've got all of that stuff sorted, let's take a look at our next step, which is the website. Now, it would be unfair for me to use a website as an example because I don't own a heating business anymore, so I can't exactly show you my own website. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to explain what it is you need to know. Now, when it comes to the website side of things with search engine optimization, that is a vast subject. So just go and do your own research, or go and speak to your website developer and just have a word with them about this. But the mistake that people make is that on their website they'll have one page which is like a services page or a what we do page, and on that page it will list out all the different services that you do, which is fine for a human. But for a robot or a spider, they're going to crawl that page and try and distinguish, well, what is this page relevant about? And they're going to find loads of keywords for loads of different services, and not one of them is going to stand out against the rest. So it's really important that you have individual landing pages for each individual service that you're trying to rank for. And on that page, you know, on page optimization, you're going to need to include the keyword and the service area where you can on that page. So things like the page title, the meta description, the body text needs to include the keywords, some images need to include the keywords and their name, like loads of stuff that goes with that, to highlight to Google that this is what this page is about. So make sure you have those service pages. The other thing that you need to be considering with your website is, earlier on we told Google what our landline number was and what our address was. So within the website, preferably in the header area, because it will show on every single page, you want to include your landline number. And then in the footer area, you want to include the address that you gave to Google so that they can just confirm that what you've told them is true and it's on your website. So that part of it is really important, which I'm going to explain in the next stage. But one last thing to consider about the website side of things is that there is actually a very specific piece of code that you can put in the back end of your website, which is called schema markup, specific to Google Maps. And that basically delivers the exact information that Google want when it comes to the whole Google profile side of things. So if you don't have that, speak to your website guys. I'm sure they'll be able to sort you out. So that's pretty much the majority or the key information you need to know about your website. So now let's go look at the next thing, which is to do with citations. So you've ticked the box of getting that profile set up correctly, and you've ticked the box of getting that website optimized. But in comparison to your competitors that are in the map pack already, you're still going to be down here. So how do we separate ourselves and stand out above the crowd? Well, we're going to do that by doing this citation building. But first of all, what is a citation and what is it even doing? So the way that I can describe this that's relatable is, let's imagine you've just gone and started a new business and you've got one van on the road with sign writing on the side of it, and all you're doing is driving around that area. It's going to take ages for that area to recognize you as the go-to reputable company for the service that you're selling. In fact, you're probably just going to merge in with the crowd and never get noticed at all. So if you had loads of money, what would you do? You'd do some marketing. You'd get all of the billboards in that area. You'd get leaflets sent out. You'll have banners on the side of the road. You'd have loads of vans on the road, and very quickly that area will recognize you as the go-to business in that area for that service you're selling. So the same thing needs to be done for Google, except they can't see billboards and leaflets and all that stuff. So citation building is how we do this marketing to Google, but there's a few important things that you need to be aware of. So the first thing we need to understand is what a citation actually is. So a citation is you adding your company details into a website, which is then going to present your company details to others, whether that's a human or what we're most bothered about is the Google Spider. Now, we're going to be looking at really the main ones that we're going to be focusing on are obviously directories, and we've got industry specific directories, and we've also got local directories to your area. So industry specific ones, we're looking at things like Checkatrade, Verified by Trades. We're looking at Trusted Trader, My Builder, which, they're industry specific really. But then you might have local directories as well, which of course I couldn't really say what they are, but you would just need to go and find them and get yourself on them as well, because that's doubling up as two different things to Google: industry specific relativity and local area search relativity. So that's a citation. So what do you need to include in these citations? Now this bit is really, really important. So within these citations, obviously you're going to be asked to put your company name, your address, your phone number, your website, your working hours, and have a description and whatever else they ask of. Now, the bit that's really important is there's a thing that exists called a NAP profile, which is NAP profile, which stands for name, address, phone number. This is the key thing that Google are looking for to make sure that you are trusted and relative to what you've said previously. So everything that you entered into your Google profile, your company name, address, and phone number has to match what you're putting into these citations exactly. So if you've put no spaces in your landline number and you go put a space in your landline number in a citation, that is considered to be an inconsistency, and Google don't like that. So make sure that you match exactly what you're saying. If you're asked for your working hours, make sure you put the same working hours. And then of course, when you get to the description section, you need to include your keywords. But now I don't know if this is 100% true or not, but this is what I purposely avoided this. There's a thing where, Google can recognize duplicated content. So try and make every description that you do unique in some way or another, but obviously include the keywords that you're looking for. So you may get penalized on that. You may not. You might just be able to copy and paste. I can't say for sure, but it's just something that I avoided. So building these citations, you got to focus on getting that content to be consistent with what's in Google. Now that you understand that, there's one more thing that I want to let you know about. And that is all of these directories, they have their own reputation online as well. So you might have some directories that are highly reputable, known as a trusted source, and there are going to be some other directories that are known for being spammy. So you want to obviously avoid the ones that are being spammy and focus on getting the ones that have got the highest reputation. Now we refer to that as domain authority or domain rating, however you want to say it. And there is ways of checking that to make sure that you are in the right place. So there's this particular resource which is called ahrefs.com. and they have a website authority checker. So for example, if I come in here and type in yao.com and do a check on that, it will do its loading, and then it will come back to us to say that this domain rating has 91 as a reputation number, and this is a score out of 100. And it explains some other stuff about do follow links, which is a completely different thing to do with SEO. But you know, we know that this is a reputable directory, so we're good to go on that. I don't have any examples of any spammy ones, but just be aware that the lower the number, the more spammy it's considered. But don't be afraid if it's got a number of 10, 20, 30, because that's still not too bad. Obviously yao.com is a very established, reputable directory, so you know it's a very high score, but that's something that you want to consider. While I'm here, I'm going to show you a couple more resources that I've made use of over the years. So the next thing that you want to take a look at is this thing here, which is called WhiteSpark. WhiteSpark is a service where you can do a local citation search effectively. So this link is Local Citation Finder. Now basically you just sort of pay a subscription to this, and what it will do is it will actually go and have a look at the competitors for the search term that you're looking for, find where their best citations are, so that you can just replicate that. So you can just go replicate all three, and the chances are you're going to be above them further down the line. So definitely worth spending the money on. Just make sure that you cancel it when you finish with it, otherwise I'll keep taking that monthly money from you. Another good resource is moz.com. So they have a service that you can pay into as well, which will give you scores and feedback to you, you know, where you can make improvements. So be sure to check that out. One last thing on this then is how you manage this going forward. So one of the mistakes that I made, which I wish I didn't, was all of these citations that I was building, I wasn't recording where they were and the login details for them as well. So you really want to create a spreadsheet to go along with this. So every time you build a citation, you put that link into the spreadsheet, you put the username and the password, so that if you need to make changes in the future, you can come back and make these changes to ensure that your NAT profile stays consistent if you rebrand or anything like that. Okay, so it's really useful to do that. So that pretty much generalizes the citation building part of this process. This is the time consuming bit. This is the bit where, you know, it's going to take you a fair bit of time to build, but once it's done, it's done. And you can just check in every now and again to continue building that. So what's next? Let's take a look at the review profile. Now, when it comes to reviews, most people will be sending their customers to one place to build their review profile in that particular place, such as Google, for example, which you might think is the best thing to do, but to be honest, it's not. The best thing to do is to diversify your review profile by getting reviews in numerous different places. Now, what that's saying to Google is they're going to go to all of these places, their spiders are going to crawl these places and recognize that you've got reviews all over the place, which shows Google that people are finding you in that place and you're still doing a good job for them as well. So it's really beneficial to get reviews in different locations. When you do get reviews, you need to engage with these customers and thank them for that review. But you need to also be strategic in what you're doing in those responses. So when you're replying to a customer, if they have their boiler service, you want to say, thank you so much for getting us in to service your boiler, keyword, blah, 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 blah. So over time, you know, the link, the review profile that you're building has responses with your keywords in, which Google are just going to absolutely love. So make sure you diversify your review profile and make sure that you're replying to these reviews. Last but by all means not least, the final thing I want to share with you is you need to future-proof your position in the Google My Business Map Pack. So what do I mean by that? Well, over the years, Google's main goal and intention hasn't changed. They will always want to deliver the most relative, the most trusted company to that particular user and that search term. But the signals that they're using are changing, and they are including things that weren't so important back in the day when I did all of this work. So the key thing now is you want to be looking at keeping your content fresh and up to date. So you will do that by going back to the posting that I mentioned earlier on and adding images continuously. So just keep bolstering up that profile by putting extra content in here and there, and you will future-proof your position, and you'll make it very, very hard for your competitors to do the work that you've just done and catch up with you. So make sure that you don't forget about your Google profile. So that brings me to the end of what I wanted to share with you today about how you can get your business to rank in the top 3 map pack on Google My Business. I'm sure if you follow this process, you will share the same success as what I did, and it will pay dividends for you in the long run. Now, earlier on, I said that I don't offer this as a service. So for those of you who are wondering what I actually do now, then I thought I'd just take this opportunity to share that with you. So I own a company called FlowState, and we specialize in helping plumbing and heating engineers systemize and automate their businesses to get it to run like clockwork. And we do that by implementing software and technology and give them the tools to be able to streamline their processes and take their business to the next level. So if you're a plumbing and heating engineer and you're interested in that, then you can get in touch with me. You can Facebook me, Jamie Curiton. You can go to Google and search for flowstate.biz. And on there's a form you can fill in, and we'll get in touch with you and have a conversation about how we might be able to help you. So thanks again for watching this video. Take care.